Welcome to Culture on I-24 News, where we bring you the latest news and stories in the world of entertainment and art. Today on the program, a closer look into Bethlehem, the new film that will represent Israel in the race for the Oscar. The last episode of Breaking Bad aired this week, and fans around the world are finding it hard to let go. And we talk with actress Sharon Stone about the challenges of growing older on the big screen. All of this is coming up very soon, but first, as always, some cultural headlines. Designer Stella McCartney presented her new summer-spring collection yesterday as part of the Paris Fashion Week. The collection featured low-slung trousers, slip dresses, and semi-transparent skirts, all in Stella's trademark neutral shades. The designer's proud father, Sir Paul McCartney, sat at the front row to show his support. Even though he's pretty busy these days, his children's book, High in the Clouds, is now being developed as a 3D animated film that will even include some new original songs. Talented family, no doubt. Charles Aznavour, one of France's most popular musical icons, will give his very first concert in Tel Aviv on November 22nd. The 89-year-old singer and composer sold more than 100 million records worldwide throughout his career, singing in 6 different languages. In recent years, Aznavour has become much more than just a singer, keeping true to his Armenian heritage. He is the Armenian ambassador to Switzerland, as well as Armenia's permanent delegate to the United Nations in Geneva. Appropriate of his various diplomatic missions, Aznavour's visit to Israel will promote public support of the peace process. The 2013 Global Citizen Festival was deemed an outstanding success. Nearly 60,000 people packed New York's Central Park on Saturday, with Alicia Keys and Stevie Wonder serving as the headlining acts. The Global Citizen Festival was held for its second year, sponsored by the Global Poverty Project, a non-profit organization with the goal of ending extreme poverty worldwide. After being introduced to the stage by Bono, Stevie Wonder, who is also a United Nations messenger for peace, gave an emotional speech on the issues of poverty and gun control. We can only hope that world leaders attending the annual UN General Assembly only a few blocks away will hear his call. The political thriller Bethlehem has been selected as Israel's Oscar entry after winning 6 Ophir Awards, including Best Film, Director, and Screenplay. Actor Tsahi Halevi performance has also earned him a Best Supporting Actor award. Halevi sat down with I-24 News' Lucy Arish, giving his insight into the film's rapid success.
Bethlehem is the most talked about Israeli film this year, bringing to the big screen many hidden aspects of the regional conflict. Tsahi Halevi stars as an Israeli Secret Service officer who is caught up in an intense relationship with his young Palestinian informant. The two quickly find themselves facing moral dilemmas and competing loyalties. A valuable part of Bethlehem's powerful impact has to do with the fact that this striking feature is a first-time effort for many of its primary cast and crew, including director Yuval Adler, who co-wrote it with Ali Waked. Tsahi Halevi, a musician at heart, didn't know what to expect once the filming was done.
When I first saw the movie, it was the first time seeing myself on the big screen. I guess I was amazed and I was surprised. The minute you act in the movie and you're really into this, the whole making of it, you're not that objective.
The film's success suggests Israelis may not be that tired of the conflict and do wish to fully grasp their surroundings. Bethlehem has also won the Best Film Award at the Venice Days showcase in the recent Venice Film Festival. Such a claim indicates Bethlehem appeals to a wider audience than expected.
Eventually, the story is about human beings, their routine, their day-to-day life. I think you can take the plot and put it in a different background, and it will have the same effect. And no matter what idea you have, whether you're Israeli, Arab, religious, non-religious, young, old, most of the reaction that at least I heard, that it's such a balanced movie.
The Oscar buzz is definitely hovering over the film. Red carpets aside, it is striking to learn that despite the harsh reality portrayed in Bethlehem, Tsahi Halevi remains hopeful for a better future.
Eventually, someone who is, let's say, right-wing or left-wing, after the movie, will probably keep the same ideas. So, let's say, since I'm an optimistic, I keep my optimism even after I've seen the movie.
For the time being, we can all wish that living in Israel wouldn't resemble such an action film.
The final episode of AMC's hit series Breaking Bad aired this week, thus ending Walter White's 5-year-long downward spiral. Fans around the world are still processing the loss, and we'd like to talk about the show's phenomenal success. To prevent quarrels within our staff, we've brought to the studio both Yasmin Kay and Avri Rosen-Tzvi. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
So we've all watched and enjoyed the last episode and this last season, but not everybody's happy with the way it ended. Avri.
No, not everybody is happy. It was a very straightforward ending. It tied up all the loose ends and gave Walter White a little bit of redemption. And some people thought that the show in its entirety had more moral ambiguity and complications than this finale. Like, it gave everyone everything they wanted in a way. Mm-hmm. But I think more people were happy with the finale than were unhappy from responses I saw on the web, at least.
Right. Yasmin, do you think the show's phenomenal success, and it is phenomenal, I think, at least in this last season, I think, is the season that really the success was felt.
Yeah.
Do you think that the show's ending is doing justice with the fans?
It's really hard to say. I mean, like Avri was saying earlier, I think the not penultimate episode, the third to last episode, Ozymandias, was basically the really traumatizing, heavy-hitting episode that made fans, it was the equivalent of the Game of Thrones Red Wedding episode. What I think was nice about this episode was that things did get quite neatly wrapped up. But what I also liked was it highlighted to us the kind of dichotomies we felt about Walter White. Because on one hand, even though he does everything for you to hate him, you're still rooting for him. So in one sense, it was nice that it was wrapped up, but on the other hand, there's still a bit of the viewer that is like, well, is that it? I mean, he gets to essentially, without revealing too much, a lot of things that he has aimed for transpire in one way or another.
Right.
And that's kind of an interesting moral question, whether we wanted something a bit worse to happen to him, whether we wanted a devastating, horrific ending we saw a few weeks ago.
Why do you think, though, that the show became such a huge success? I mean, do you think that it's is it telling a story in a way that hasn't been told before?
Well, it's a highly serialized show, and I think in the last few years, people have been drawn to this kind of show that tells the story of one person or a family across a long stretch of time and shows like very minute changes. The show was very gradual in its transformation of Walter White, and people really felt like they could identify with him, even though he did some horrible things. Right. And it was sort of the next step from the Tony Sopranos of the world. It's like a man protecting his family, but much more down to earth.
Yeah, compared to Walter White, Tony Soprano is a do-gooder. He's like an angel on earth. I mean, and you're right that Walter White did start at a much different place and gradually became that. But there were moments along the series where you could say, okay, now he's turned, now he's a different person, and reevaluate your view of him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's a very specific moment where I kind of realized, I was like, okay, he's become Heisenberg. There was a moment at the end of season 4, I think all viewers will know what we're talking about, with Brock. And and I didn't actually think that was the moment. It was something that happened with Mike.
Pinkman didn't like that as well.
Pinkman did not like that, but it was something that actually happened with Mike. There was something that viewers will know happened with Mike the next season, and it was something that Walt did. He didn't have to do it. He did it purely out of the fact that his pride was hurt, his ego was wounded, and it was just a way of getting back at somebody. And for me, that was the ultimate transformation, when his ego completely controlled him and he couldn't lie to himself that he was acting altruistically or doing things for the benefit of his family. It was just...
Avli,
wanted
did
to.
you stay with Walter till the very end, or at some point did you say, okay, that's too much for me?
Actually, at some point in the series, I sort of took a step back and I sort of, okay, I'm just watching this. I'm not sure who I'm rooting for. But actually, I think the producers were very smart because they always left us Jesse, because Jesse was kind of the heart of the series all through it, and he was sort of the person you could always root for because he was always sort of the bystander in the events.
It's another interesting issue is Skylar's character, Anna Gunn, who really got a lot of hate for her role in this show, and all in all, she wasn't a terrible character.
No, I think an interesting thing I've read about that recently was the reason Skylar was getting so much hate is because from the beginning, Walt's set up to be, he's the central protagonist, we identify with him, so whenever he's doing something horrible, we still want him to succeed, and Skylar is the main barrier to success consistently throughout all the seasons. And she hasn't really done anything wrong, but because she's constantly posing a barrier to Walt and always questioning him, the viewer automatically dislikes her. But she's a sympathetic character. I mean, the stuff she goes through.
In 2 words, what's left with you? What do you take with you, Avli?
Well, for me, I think what was really interesting was that this show became a cultural phenomenon, and the likes of which we haven't seen since The Soprano, and even more than Mad Men in a way. It kind of became a big part of popular culture, and it will be interesting to see what's left of it after it's gone.
Yasmin?
I think it's difficult to sum up in 2 words. I would say
maybe you need some time to process it.
I would say like utter devastation a couple of weeks ago.
That's 1 word?
Yeah, but now, I don't know, I found it quite Shakespearean. Kind of, I know it sounds a bit poncy, but at the end, the standoff between the
British
two central characters.
End. British till the end.
Yeah,
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Avri,
Thank you very
for
much.
coming. Soon we'll hear from actress Sharon Stone, but first, a look at a few cultural events from around the world.
The Rain Dance Festival in London celebrates independent film for over 20 years. In the current edition, 100 features alongside 150 short and animated films are screened. The festival offers both a spotlight on Britain's next wave of challenging filmmakers, as well as a look at unknown international talents. The Rain Dance winners will be announced on October 6th. Raw Vision is an acclaimed underground magazine which also holds unique art exhibitions. The Raw Vision Review is now featured at the Halle Saint-Pierre Gallery in Paris, confronting spectators with more than 80 alternative artists who present their own take on American folk art. The ultimate beach boy Brian Wilson is joining forces with the legendary guitarist Jeff Beck. The duo will perform in Houston on October 1st as part of a 20-city American tour. This 1960s nostalgia trip will take place throughout the fall, with other original Beach Boys members, Al Jardine and David Marks, backing up their former leader.
Actress Sharon Stone kept a low profile for the last few years, but this year she's back in the spotlight. Appearing in 2 films and executive producing a very interesting documentary, her schedule seems to be already full for the next year. I-24 News correspondent Hervé Tropea sat down with the actress and heard about her recent projects.
Sharon Stone is the rare Hollywood actress who, at 55, is still very busy. In the film Fading Gigolo, coming out later this year, she acts opposite Woody Allen and John Turturro.
Let's do the Minaj.
She's so soft, like the tiny one.
And she recently played the real-life role of Linda Lovelace's mother, Dorothy Borman, in the film Lovelace.
What was the biggest challenge in this character?
You know, I think the biggest challenges came before we ever started shooting, because we had the original woman, Dorothy Borman, who was a little heavier than me. She had a little bit of a overbite, and it was, how were we going to do it? Were we going to wear fatter clothes? We brought prosthetic teeth? Ultimately, the directors, I loved them so much I could cry. I think that when they really finally just said, you know, they would put a little stipple on my face, and they said, look, Sharon, just act it.
Stone also executive produced the documentary Femme, which features interviews with 100 influential women from around the world.
Women are becoming the primal power person.
There's never been a better time to be a woman.
People have often asked me if I was a feminist, and I always say, you know, I'm a humanist. So it's just extraordinary for me to demonstrate the human perspective of women and how much the most intriguing, intelligent, profound, wise women want to bring their greatness to an engagement with men and an uplifting experience for everyone.
That's it from us for today. I'm Deb Grober, and I hope you enjoyed watching our show. Please join us again tomorrow.